Hi there, I'm Joey.
I'm Jacob.
And we are watching Star Trek for the first time. Today, we continue the original series. Last time we had Mudd's Women, which was certainly a thing.
It was a thing.
And based on the title of this next one, I'm not sure it'll be much better.
Oh no, hold on. I need a moment.
This is called What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Okay.
This...
What are little girls made of?
Yes, that is the name. We're I don't even know. I don't know what to say at this point. Like I don't know. Maybe it's better than it sounds. Who knows? So we're about to watch What Are Little Girls Made Of. We're gonna get into post-episode thoughts in a second. Come back here after we watch What Are Little Girls Made Of. I've said that title 3 times now. The shirtless Shatner count continues. We didn't mention it in episode 5, but it was again here. I wonder if I should count it twice, because there were literally 2 shirtless Shatners at the same time.
No,
like literally on the same screen at the exact same moment. Should I count it twice?
I'm not. I wouldn't personally.
All right, so just all right. Got
It's one because I would call it like like per time
per episode. Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah. So we had our 3rd shirtless Shatner. Very happy about this. But this was. I struggle to use the phrase middle of the road, but it is probably the most middle of the road episode we've had so far.
Yeah, this is probably...
It's one of the other ones that I haven't really felt strongly either way about.
Right. This is probably what, like, the average, I mean, like, actual average episode is reflective of.
I suppose. I mean, it took 7 episodes to get to this point, so I don't know if that's true.
Well, there's a lot of episodes left, so...
Yeah. So we focus on a character that we saw briefly in The Naked Time here, Christine Chapel. She was the one that confessed her love to Spock back in Naked Time, which, if this was a less, like, episodic show and focused a bit more on, like, larger character arcs, then there would definitely be some tension, because they had a couple scenes together here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, at the beginning and end, and it was just kind of weird. Also, we had, like, barely any actual, like, crew members in this. It was just Kirk, like, named crew members that we know. Like, Kirk, Spock, Chapel, and a little bit of Uhura.
A little bit. She was on screen for like maybe a minute total.
Her and her little ear microphone.
Yeah,
which I love. So we meet Dr. Roger. God, what was his last name?
Oh, I don't remember.
I forgot it already.
Oh man, that's bad.
So this was Christine's fiance at a time that they're not quite clear if they were still engaged.
I mean,
but he's been gone for like 5 years.
Yeah, they say he was on like an expedition for 5 years or something.
And they come down here and he's associated himself with androids, one of which is played by Lurch from the Addams Family, which I love. Like he was just like, he's got such a great voice.
We were like, man, his voice and build is so familiar.
Yeah, it was like I feel like anytime you watch like an old TV show like this, you're like, oh, that's a like big sort of like tough strong man. I feel like I should know that actor, and you probably do.
It's probably Lurch from the Addams Family.
Oh no, it's probably Lurch. Like if you're watching a British one, you're probably seeing like David Prowse or something.
You know what? Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. But no, he was good. He has a couple other androids throughout this. Andrea is the one's name, and this one guy that sees them at first. We haven't really mentioned it much up to this point, but all those stories about, you know, like if you bring down a random crew member in a red shirt for an episode, they're gonna fucking die.
Yeah, totally true. At least so far.
So Kirk and Christine come down to this planet, and then they start walking forward, and then 2 other guys beam in behind them. And they're both in red shirts.
And we were like, okay, just don't be red.
And they're red. They're both red, and they both died, like, within 5 minutes of us meeting them.
Yeah.
And they're both killed by Lurch, so that's great.
Yeah.
That character's name is Rock. But he's an android, you're an android, I'm an android, we're all androids. And this doctor that Christine was engaged to, he makes an android of Kirk. Which, first off, this is the second time that we've had
Imposter Kirk,
but also like the 3rd time in the show that they've done like the sort of like, ooh, this person's like impersonating other people sort of thing. And this is the first time within those 3 episodes that they've actually done the original and the duplicate on screen at the same time.
I was a little surprised to see it personally.
And the effect looks pretty good. Like they don't do it much, but it's there. Like they do it in a couple of different shots.
Like they sit them right next to each other too. So like
yeah,
the chance of this not working is actually pretty high.
Like there's the one where they're on the circle thing together, where they make the Kirk android. It's like okay, well that's a pretty easy cut. But like then they're sitting at the same table together, and you see them in the same shot, and it actually looks really nice. I like it.
The shots, the effects done really well.
Yeah. So interestingly, when this other Kirk android is made, he acts and talks exactly like regular Kirk. And he just can't eat and love or whatever.
Right. Well, he can't eat because he's an android. He has no reason to eat.
So he goes up to the Enterprise, and I said to you, I was like, okay, so if he like acts the exact same as Kirk, how is anyone gonna know that he's not Kirk?
Right.
And he talks to Spock, and he just starts yelling at him. I'm like, okay, so we're just sacrificing any sort of tension that could have been kept with this android Kirk, and just saying like, okay, we're gonna make it really obvious that he's not Kirk.
For Spock, yeah.
But even then, like Spock's super intelligent. Like it could have just been like very small cues or whatever, or even just like hey, like Spock offers him something to eat or whatever, and he's like, oh no, can't have that, whatever.
Right. Exactly.
And Spock just catches on to that. Like there were better and more subtle ways to do that, I think.
And they just passed on them. For what is essentially a space slur.
Yeah, he calls him a half-breed. Yeah, So that was that. They catch on that Spock's an android. There's this weird climax where Kirk seduces the one android.
I can't decide for what purpose.
I think. Well, the idea was, I think at first, was to make Ruck jealous. I guess. Ruck attacks Kirk, and then Roger comes in and kills Ruck.
Or more accurately, he turns him off.
And then when Android Kirk comes back down to the planet, Andrea kills Android Kirk by accident. And then we find out that Roger is an android himself. Which was actually a pretty cool twist. I actually kind of liked that.
I liked that twist. I thought they weren't gonna do it. I didn't say it out loud.
I told you afterward. Like I said that like I thought the twist was gonna be that the androids were gonna figure eventually that Roger was inferior because he was the only non-android.
Which they kind of did.
They sort of did, but I mean he was still an android in the end.
He was, yeah, exactly. They played both twists, which is a little weird, actually.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, okay, I was thinking he might be an android about halfway through the episode. But then when they did that first twist, I was like, okay, so they're not gonna do that, and Kirk will just kill him or something.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, Christine, I lost my legs, I was freezing to death. I had to become an android.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because you mentioned right at the start of the episode, Andrea comes out to greet Kirk, and you're like, wow, quite the skincare routine you have on this, like, ice rock planet or whatever.
Right,
and it's like, well, yeah, they're all androids. It makes sense. And, like, the idea is that, like, Roger didn't survive for long on the planet. Like, he was just dying, and so he made that android of himself.
Which... smart idea in practice.
Yeah, and actually made for a pretty cool twist, and like probably like the only like really compelling part of this episode. Because I feel overall like the shortcomings of this thing, they didn't do enough with the android idea.
No, they really should have done
I think
more.
we really should have explored Christine and Roger's relationship a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have done a lot more with that. But overall, yeah, like we said at the start, it's a very middle of the road kind of episode. Didn't really do too much for me overall, but had some fun moments. And hey, we had Lurch in here.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had Lurch.
So all in all, it was okay.
It was okay. Yeah, it was decent. So yeah, I guess that about does it. Join us next week. We're continuing the original series next week, as always. Join us next time. Until then, this has been Joey Morgan.
I'm Jacob.
And goodbye.